Bungie has given a massive buff to arc builds in Destiny 2 and Season 21, and the reason why is because these artifact mods are absolutely insane. We have lightning strikes twice after throwing an arc grenade, gain increased grenade recharge for a short time, arc final blows extend the duration of this benefit. We have amped up, gain damage resistance while amplified. We have thunderous retort, gain bonus arc super damage if cast while critically wounded or while amplified, lasts until the end of super activation. This is going to be absolutely crazy if you use arc warlock geomags. This does really excellent DPS overall. And then we have electric armor, stay amplified longer while your arc subclass is equipped. With all of these artifact mods working together simultaneously, this makes arc builds very powerful this season. And in today's video, I'm going to break down this build that I'm using to solo the dungeon, Ekthar encounter, and I'm actually just jolting and clearing the ads like crazy, staying alive effortlessly. It's honestly just a lot of fun. Of course, we're going with Chaos Reach. For the class ability, we're going Healing Rift, Burst Glide, Chain Lightning for the melee, and we are in fact using the Lightning Surge aspects. That way we can do that slide melee. It's actually really powerful at clearing ads, especially with the very condensed ads with all of the acolytes together. This is really, really good. Strongest nade is going to be pulse grenade, so definitely go with that. You can also rock arc souls if you want. It kind of just gives you free damage to enemies, and I recommend that arc souls build that I'll go over later on for the boss room. But for this encounter, we're rocking lightning surge, and then we're using electrostatic mind. Defeating any targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace, and that's going to be the real key here, is making tons of ionic traces because it pairs perfectly with this Sunstar helmet. For the fragments, we're using Spark of Magnitude, which will make our pulse grenade last longer. We're using Spark of Shock, which is going to make our pulse grenade jolt targets. We're going to use resistance just for survivability and plus 10 strength, not too bad. Spark of Discharge, which reads arc weapon final blows have a chance to create an ionic trace, and of course we're going to be using Forbearance, which is just so good at ad clear. Fire one shot, chain reaction blows everything up, unrelenting keeps you alive, and it synergizes perfectly with the Spark of Discharge. You don't have to use Forbearance, you could use a different arc weapon if you want. Sometimes I rock like the Path of Least Resistance, maybe even Icarus SMG, but for the most part I highly recommend double special, and Forbearance is definitely the play in this encounter. So strong, such the perfect weapon for this encounter, and synergizes with this build perfectly. The exotic is Fallen Sunstar. I've tried a few different exotics now. I was using Getaway Artist for a little bit, which was fun, but I honestly feel like Fallen Sunstar takes the cake here when you're trying to rock Arc Warlock in this encounter. You've got Ionic Conductor, Ionic Traces you create move faster and grant you additional ability energy. So all those times we create Ionic Traces, we're just going to get even more energy, so that way we can basically just spam infinite melees, grenades, class abilities everywhere. And the next part reads, nearby allies also gain ability energy when you collect an Ionic Trace. Now for this instance, I'm actually in this encounter solo, so I don't get to benefit my teammates, but if my teammates were there, they'd be getting a ton of ability energy from this as well. And if they were rocking a similar build, they would be able to basically just feed even more ability spam with this. We're gonna rock double hands-on, so that way each time we use that super powerful melee, we clear a ton of acolytes and just get a bunch of super energy. And then we're gonna have Arc Siphon with a Forbearance, that way we make those orbs of power play into a variety of other elements that we're using in this build. For the gauntlet, we have Grenade Kickstart, because we want to get that grenade back as fast as possible. And we're gonna rock Impact Induction, Momentum Transfer. For the loop of causing damage with your grenade reduces your melee cooldown, and causing damage with your melee reduces your grenade cooldown. Those two loop together perfectly. On the chest piece, we're going to go with melee damage resistance, because we're going to be meleeing so many different things. They're going to be so close to us. We want to be able to tank a bunch of damage from those acolytes, from the knights, from the boss that's just running around. Melee damage resistance definitely play. The affinities, you can use whatever ones work for the activity. For this one, I'm just using Arc and Void. For the boots, we're definitely rocking stacks on stacks, so we can get higher stacks of armor charge, which will play into our grenade kickstart. And then we're rocking Innervation, and we're rocking Insulation, so we get more grenade and class ability energy when we're popping those rifts. For the class item, we're gonna rock Powerful Attraction. When we do pop those rifts, we're gonna be able to pick up any of the orbs nearby, playing into our armor charge. We're gonna rock Reapers, so every time we do pop a rift, we're gonna get a kill with Forbearance. It's gonna create an orb from Reaper and an orb from Arc Siphon. And then the last one is just Bomber, so we get a little bit more grenade energy, so that way it kind of completes the full loop, because you're getting your grenade back is kind of one of the hardest abilities with this. But once you have Bomber and the rest of it on, you basically get your grenades back infinitely. That completes all of the different mods, subclass setup, and the artifact. For the stats, we're going with 100 Resilience, 100 Discipline, and then as much recovery as you can possibly get. After that, it doesn't really matter too much, but I would definitely go with Intellect if I could. If I could, I would get even higher recovery and Intellect, but this is the highest I could get with my armor. This is a super fun and powerful build this season. I think a lot of you will enjoy it for going into the new dungeon together as a team or trying to solo any encounter, but especially the Ekthar encounter works well for this one. And as a plus, if you really want to, you can go to your loadouts and you can swap to Geomags if you want to do a little bit more damage to the boss. That was a strategy I was using. I would pop the shields with Arbalist, and then I would just bust out as much DPS as I could with Chaos Reach and the Hothead Rocket. Let me know your thoughts about this build down in the comments, and if you want to see a really crazy Arc Hunter build, click on this video right here. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed, smash the like button. I'll see you in the next one. Later.